Welcome to a special episode of DePIN State. This is a public service that my partner, Max Gold, and I are running for Helium Mobile to make sure that you get a chance to see all of your candidates and meet them before they run for election. My partner, Max, is a founding member of the Mobile Working Group. We've been working a ton on mobile with Nova and Helium Foundation. We're super excited to make sure that you as a listener and watcher and participant in this Web3 community get a chance to get to know some of these folks who are running for the Mobile Working Group. Max, is there anything that you want to add on to that?
No, just we just encourage everyone to watch all the videos and give everyone a fair shot and listen to what everyone has to say. And again, some people were sick, some people had prior commitments, so don't hold that against them if they're not on this video.
Cool. All right, let's get into it. All right, here with Keith talking about the Mobile Working Group candidacy. Keith, what's your handle on Discord? We got a couple questions for you.
Sure, it's 𝐾𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐿.
Got it. And then do you have any governance experience inside or outside of crypto?
I have a little bit. I'm on the board and on some committees with 𝐒𝐮𝐻, which is a trade group that represents smaller ISPs across the country. And we do a lot of work in the wireless space, spectrum, including 5 gigahertz CBRS, and more recently 6 gigahertz for Wi-Fi and fixed wireless.
Okay, so a fair amount. And then how are you involved with Helium Mobile now?
Well, I would say I'm a deployer. I've been deploying for a couple of years, first IoT, then CBRS, and now Wi-Fi. And I'm just really excited about the network. I think there's a ton of opportunities, and I just want to keep deploying.
Right on. What would you like to see done in Helium?
Well, I think it all boils down to customers. I think we need to come up with some innovative ways to use both of the networks, both CBRS and Wi-Fi, maybe new ideas, maybe fixed wireless. Just, we all benefit from more use of the network. And if there's other ways to make that happen, I'd be happy to help out any way I can.
Love it. And then anything else you want people to know about you and your candidacy for the Mobile Working Group?
I do own a 𝐒𝐻, so I just love wireless. I've been playing with wireless for like 20 years. I actually started out in the dial-up days, and we deployed some of the first fixed wireless that came out by Motorola. So I guess that's what really drew me to this project, is just the wireless aspect of it, and I think there's tremendous opportunity.
Right on. Sounds like you got a deep experience in it. Cool. Keith, thanks so much for coming on and making time to let people know who you are and what you want to do with Helium Mobile.
Yeah, thank you.
Boris, thanks for coming on. You're already on the working group, but for folks who don't know, what's your handle on Discord?
0 tweets.
0 tweets. Right on. And then these are all the obvious questions. It's kind of funny to ask you, but do you have any governance experience?
Yes. So I've been on the working group since inception, and prior to my involvement with the Helium and crypto community, I was actually on the board of the few open source foundations unrelated to crypto, such as, for instance, the OpenStack Foundation. I was one of the founding members of the board there. I was involved with the Linux Foundation governance in multiple roles in the past, so definitely have some governance experience.
Yeah, a fair amount. And then for folks who don't know it or maybe kind of just coming into Helium, how are you involved with Helium Mobile? What's your part in the whole big thing?
I am general manager of wireless at Nova Labs, and what that means in practical terms is that all of the operations of Helium Mobile, which is the service provider currently using the Helium network, kind of roll under my set of responsibilities.
Got it. Super cool. And I guess, this is a giant question, but we're trying to keep these pretty short and just give people an insight into what you're thinking and where you're going. Is what would you like to see done with Helium in the next working group kind of session that you get elected for?
So I think that the plan is to sort of continue down the same path that we've been pushing. And in my mind, there are two big categories of work. First is a variety of initiatives to bring more data to the network. And second is, I think we need to start spending time on various ways to add utility to a mobile token. So when it comes to the bring data to the network, there is a few sub buckets that I can sort of tease out that we've been working on already. One is continue working on the POC scheme to incentivize deployments in locations where the data is most likely to be present.
Yep.
So the HIP 103 that is recently passed is one such initiative. I think there's more we can do there. Second is sort of vectoring the deployments towards the radio access technology that is most likely to carry data. And in plain speak, it is Wi-Fi over CBRS. So again, I don't think that it's no secret that I'm a big fan of Wi-Fi. What's maybe a little bit less understood is that I by no means am like against CBRS. It's obvious that Wi-Fi is more mature, and looking at the numbers of offload among our subscribers, you can see that we're actually able to bring real customer data to the network with Wi-Fi more efficiently today than over CBRS. So that means that whatever we can do as a team to promote faster deployment of Wi-Fi hotspots, indoor and outdoor, I think will go a long way to creating more utility on the network.
Got it.
Bringing more subscribers to the network. So, I think at Helium Mobile have spent now some time kind of like learning and getting on our feet as an MVNO. We have kind of, gotten into a stride and have a growing number of subs. But I think that going forward, there's going to be a lot more focus on other incoming service providers. So we've had Telefonica announcement. There is a number of others that we're working on. I think that's important focus to make sure that the network is well suited to accommodate service providers that are not just Helium Mobile.
Absolutely.
And finally, kind of closing the gaming loopholes is another kind of sub bucket of bring more data, because we don't just want any data on the network. We want like real data from the real users that are using the network, not because they want to pump gigabytes through their hotspots to earn tokens, but because they're actually using the hotspots.
Yep.
And sort of teasing that out and making sure that we don't have that gaming going on is definitely a big focus.
Dig it. Yeah, that's always going to be going on. There's always going to be whack-a-mole stuff, but it's super good to see that that's one of the focuses in the sub buckets. As we wrap this up, is there anything else you want people to know about what you're aiming to do with Helium Mobile?
Well, I think that I kind of see myself as somebody who is meant to bring the perspective of the service provider to the mobile working group.
Yep.
Big reason why Helium Mobile is so important is because we are sort of like eating our own dog food. We are, now a very clear understanding of what it's like to use the network as, a service provider with real customers. What are the benefits and what the issues are? And we have a pretty diverse set of folks, on the group, vendors, deployers, etc. So, my plan is to basically continue sort of bringing injecting that service provider viewpoint into the pool of opinions when it comes to all the different initiatives that we push.
Love it. Boris, thanks a ton for making the time. I know you're super busy doing all this stuff. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your views and letting people know who you are and why you're running. Thanks, man.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Back with founding member of the MWG, Josh. Josh, what's your handle on Discord, man?
𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐜𝐿𝐴.
𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐿𝐴, right on. And then it's funny to ask, but do you have any governance experience?
Yeah, so as a founding member of the Mobile Working Committee, been a co-author and contributed on a couple of HIPs and stay obviously very engaged within the Discord.
Dig it. And then how are you involved with Helium Mobile, maybe outside the mobile working group? Obviously, you're super involved there. Are you deploying stuff? Do you have mobile Wi-Fi, CBRS, all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So been involved since the network launched in 2019. I'm CEO and co-founder of LongFi Solutions, and we've done CBRS, Wi-Fi. And for those who have strong feelings about geographies, we've deployed in urban, suburban, rural, and Mexico here soon. So excited to bring kind of a balanced perspective to the group.
Right on. Super cool to see that. What would you like to see done in Helium over your next term, should you get elected?
Yeah, I think there's two things that I'd like to emphasize the next 6 months if on the committee. One is really adding fuel to the fire of what will help accelerate the growth of the network. And I think that really centers around attracting service providers. So Telefonica is a unique opportunity. Let's really show Telefonica the power of the tools that the Helium network has in its ecosystem and really kind of put a lot of emphasis to make sure that goes really well. The other really quick thing I'd say is continue to try and treat proof of coverage rewards like a scarce resource. So helping the network be more adaptable to stopping leakage of value from that bucket of rewards. And I think those two things combined would be what I would emphasize over the next 6 months.
Got it. Super cool to see that. And then before we wrap up, is there anything else you want people to know about what you're doing, or what's going on with you and Helium?
No, I think that's it. I think there's really three things to what I'm running on. It's bring a balanced approach. It's add fuel to the rocket ship that's Helium Noble Network, and let's treat proof of coverage like a scarce resource.
Love it. Josh, thanks so much for coming on. I know you're busy. Super cool to have you on, make the time to tell people what's going on and why they should vote for you.
Thanks
man.
Nick. Really appreciate it.
All right, this one's with Sean Carey. We got a little bit of an extenuating circumstance here. Just came back from the vet, so no video, just see a picture, but we'll go through the questions. Sean, what's your handle on Discord?
Hey, Nick, how's it going? Handle on Discord is Densone, Densone.
Got it. And I've seen you've changed the custom thing in Helium a couple times. It's like Sean Degenerate right now or something like that, right?
I am a unemployed degenerate. I'm actually employed right now, but I took a job in the investing world. So that I'm we'll probably list that pretty soon. But
cool.
I am kind of gainfully employed. I like it. At least I'm enjoying it. And actually spending all my time right now investing in DePIN projects.
Love it. Heck yeah. Let's see. Do you have any governance experience?
So governance experience from the crypto side? No. Governance experience from the business world? Yes. I've founded a couple of companies and also have had managing directorships and done other things in other businesses. So plenty of experience in that area.
Got it. And then how are you involved with Helium Mobile?
So Helium Mobile, so I guess, a million years ago, in 2013, I founded Helium with Amir and Sean. Left the company before the blockchain, but did a lot of the what was the early work on the IoT side of things, and my experience there grew into becoming a big contributor into the Helium L1. That all ended and segued into Helium Mobile. My brother and I, we now run, we have a very large CBRS network, and we also have a bunch of mobile, the actual mobile Wi-Fi devices coming in. We are installing and operating a bunch of that hardware. Probably going to somewhat phase away from the CBRS. Mainly for reasons that most people probably understand at this point, but definitely have a lot of experience in the mobile realm and a lot of the HIPs that have passed and not passed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've literally been a part of it since the beginning. So the next question is, what would you like to see done in Helium and specifically with Helium Mobile?
Yeah. So the I think there's a lot that can be done with Helium and Helium Mobile. I think from the Helium perspective, there are other sub-DAOs that I think can be vital to and fall into this into the characteristic of what is a Helium project. Maybe part of those characteristics could eventually become a some type of content delivery system. I think there are absolutely ways to help with the the delivery mechanisms of the internet. I know a lot of companies are getting crushed by T-Mobile or Verizon sticking this that little thing in the window and you're getting high-speed internet at this point. So I really think maybe even part of the future for Helium Mobile is to start enabling that for smaller operators and being able to make better use of those CBRS devices that a lot of us have.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the big things I'd like to see going forward is that. Also, the growth of Wi-Fi, and I really think, at least from my perspective, is I want to start helping shed light. Is like this stuff is not all about just the token, right? It's about building a network that is viable and successful. And I want to try to, prove out there that, you can be a token stakeholder in this network, but still care about the viability over the actual token itself. And so it's
Right.
really important to me is to make sure we spend the next several years being able to, calibrate and continue on with a great viable network.
Dig it. Yeah, super cool to see both pushes there, both the token and then the utility itself. Is there anything else that you want people to know about you in this candidacy for the mobile working group?
No, I mean, really, it's other than the intention I have here is just complete honesty and to work towards, I think, the overall growth of the network, and maybe even spending more time helping educate people, on some of this stuff. I really truly care about the project. It's been a part of my life for a long time now. And for me, it's never been more important to get involved, because the decisions we make now can affect the longevity and the importance of what everybody's doing here.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it that you've been with it so long and that you're still psyched about it. You're still willing to contribute. Sean, thanks a ton for taking the time. I know you're super busy. Appreciate you carving out some time for this.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Nick. It's always great talking to you, buddy. And by the way, good luck to you. I know you're up on the vote too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
have
super
to.
cool to get on with you. We can work on the communication stuff together. It'd be fun.
That would be awesome, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go maybe flip my button right now for you. So thanks, man. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
All right, back with Jay, who is a current member and is running for re-election. Jay, what's your thanks for coming, and what's your handle on Discord?
Thanks, Nick. I go by JM on Discord and social media.
Got it. And some of these questions are going to be repetitive, but it's always good for folks to get a view at what you're doing if they didn't see it last time. What's your, or do you have any governance experience?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I am currently serving on the mobile working group and have been for the last 5.5 months at this point. And I come from a background of governance. I was elected to serve on my city commission, and I've worked for, in my previous career, I've worked for elected officials at the federal level for the past 20 years or so.
Love it.
No longer doing that today, though.
Love the deep experience you got. Let's see, so you're involved with Helium Mobile and the Helium Working Group. Any other involvement with mobile? You deploying? You doing any of that stuff?
Yeah, I started deploying IoT gateways back in 2019. I was a very early adopter of Helium and was amongst the first to start deploying mobile equipment, early CBRS equipment. And today, my company, Proof Wireless, is deploying both in Miami and around the country as well.
Cool.
Both IoT and mobile.
Right on. And you've had a chance, because you're already on the working group and going for re-election, to see what's going on. What would you like to see done next in Helium?
In the very short term, the implementation of HIP 103, which I was a co-author on, so we can help direct deployments to where they're going to be beneficial for the network as a whole. In the immediate term, with the implementation of HIP 84 this week, and I don't know when this will air, I assume very soon because the election is live, there are some very clear gaming mechanisms, gaming vectors happening right now, specifically with indoor Wi-Fi APs. And we need to work on addressing those. There are a few HIPs in the works already. 107, 108, 109 will certainly help. 103, when it's implemented, will help. Some of those things, but there are a bunch of other ideas being tossed around right now on how to address this current gaming situation. And it's important to acknowledge that there is always going to be a gaming situation that needs to be addressed. Like once we squash this bug, it's not the last bug that's going to need to be squashed. There are going to be dozens of others as we move forward in building the network, and that is an important job of the working group is to stay on top of those. Hopefully, prevent them before they happen, which we did not do with 84. But yeah, that's the immediate term. Longer term, we can look at other ways like 103 to narrow where deployments get deployed. Things, there are a couple of different proof of utility proposals being tossed around in the community. One thing I'm really excited to work on is we spend so much of our time focusing on POC rewards. We can further refine the mapping bucket as well. And that will help with gaming a lot. Is we have discovery mapping right now, but an important other aspect of the mapping HIP that was passed is verification mapping. So we're able to actually verify where coverage is, that it is where it says it is, which is not the case with some of these gaming locations in Miami.
Love it. Love how into the whole thing you are. Is there anything else that you want folks to know about what you're aiming to do? And any problems, challenges, the rest of it that you see with Helium Mobile? Yeah,
I think we constantly need to be doing a better job at communicating what the working group is working on. I don't know what that looks like really. Maybe it's a mobile working group Twitter account that like summarizes the last meeting, something like that, just a different way, because not everyone can attend our meetings.
Right.
Not everyone wants to take the time to re-listen to the meetings afterwards. I mean, they're an hour and a half long. So I'm trying to think of different ways we can succinctly tell people what it is we're working on, and different ways to receive feedback from the community too, rather than just posting in the voice chat during the meetings.
Right. Okay.
That's one other thing to focus on. But like in terms of like what my ethos is with this, all of this, like governance is really about making hard decisions about what's best for the network as a whole and not for any one individual. So, a lot of people will talk about the fiduciary responsibility they have to their businesses, and I certainly have one to mine. I know others on the working group have responsibilities to theirs. I view this position as we also have a fiduciary responsibility to the network as a whole, and making sure that everything that we are doing and considering is in the best interest of the network and not any one individual.
Yeah. And you've been really good and public about, hey, here's where my interest lies. Here's where the network interest lies. Sometimes you'll basically vote against yourself, but in favor of the network. I think that's always been an admirable thing that you've done. Well, maybe if we both get on the working group, we can work on the communication side. I can certainly see how I can help out there, and we'll get the word out about what we're doing to the community. Cool. Dude, thanks a ton for making the time. I know you're busy. Appreciate you making the time to come in and tell folks what you're aiming to do on the mobile working group.
Yeah. Thank you guys for doing this. I know it's time consuming for you. I appreciate it.
Right on.
All right. And we're back with now a different type of interview. Nick, you're actually on the other side. I'm Max Gold. I'm a mobile working group member. I'm going to interview Nick because he's actually running as well. So Nick, what's your Discord handle? And do you have any governance experience?
Yeah, a fair amount. So I've been involved in the early days of Helium with the MCC, the Manufacturing Compliance Committee. Max and I have gotten a grant to do governance work for Helium Foundation. We've worked with a professor at Harvard on governance. We've done a fair amount of governance work across all of these different spaces, helping people design and understand how to make sure that people have a hand in shaping their own destiny in these Web3 crypto projects.
Oh, wow. And how are you involved with Helium Mobile?
Well, I've been involved in Helium since the very early days. With mobile specifically, I've got indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi. I've got outdoor CBRS. I've been watching the whole space for a long time. I've got the phone. Like, I'm pretty involved in the whole thing, both on the participatory side and also watching what happens on the governance side.
Okay. And what would you like to see done in Helium?
I think the biggest thing I'd like to see done is making sure that the wider community can understand what's going on. There's a ton of complexities that go on in the mobile world and in any of these crypto spaces. And one of the things that I'd like to be able to help out with is making sure that everyone who's involved understands a lot of the nuances of what's going on. And that only comes if you have direct access to what's going on inside the working group, and then a good platform to kind of push that out and say, hey, here's what happened today. Here's how you can understand it. Here's how it affects you.
Okay. And is there anything else you want people to know?
I think that wraps it. I'm excited to kind of check out and be involved again in Helium in another interesting way and make sure that we grow this whole space together and make the thing awesome.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Max.